But for those people that doesn't know what Excel Church Consulting is and who's Pastor Joey Salazar, I want you to let us know in your own words. I don't want to say it myself. I don't want Kes to say it either. I want you to say it yourself in your own words. Who is Joey Salazar? Who's Pastor Joey Salazar? And what is Excel Church Consulting?
Absolutely. So I'm Joey Salazar. I live along with my family here in Orlando, Florida. We have the opportunity to serve as executive pastors here at Journey Church under the leadership of JJ Vasquez. And Excel Church Consulting is something that was birthed out of my heart. Earlier this year, I found that it was one of my passions to help other churches win and get quote unquote unstuck. Sometimes we were just I was observing other churches, or friends would come up to me and say, hey, like, what would you do in this case? Or, hey, I don't know what else to do. And so I would share advice. I would go visit them, or I would speak with them in person or whatever. And I was loving seeing the growth that was happening in their churches. And so I put a name to it, and God's just been providing every next step of what to take. And so thankfully, Excel exists to just train and resource and provide practical tips and advice for other churches and ministries, and just how to continue to excel in their spheres of influence.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I got a quick question, Kes. I'm sorry, and then I'll let you go ask all your questions. But I got one quick question. My real question is
All
this.
right.
No, because it got my attention. You said it was in my heart to help other churches. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm being honest here, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. But you don't see that often nowadays. And I'm sorry for saying this, it must sound
Whoa,
wrong.
I thought I was scared. I was worried for a second. I was like, what is he gonna say?
No. But nowadays churches
Sorry
are
to say this.
churches out there for themselves. They want to look out for themselves. This is my church, and I don't care what happened to you, or to you. I'm worried about my church and my business.
Yeah.
Pastor Joey Salazar just said it was in my heart to help other churches. How does this work? How one day you just wake up like helping other churches? Let's do this. How does the whole thing work? How this happen?
Man, I think it's been a process. I think it's been a development over years, over my heart. I think that it really came from a recognition that I personally haven't got to where I am by myself. Our church hasn't got here to where it's at by itself. And so why not pay it forward? Why not give it back? And hey, we're on the same team. We're all trying to win people to Jesus. And so just because you might play a couple extra songs, just because my service may be a little bit shorter, doesn't mean that we got to fight over those little details. Hey, we're about helping each other. We're about the capital C church. And so it's definitely taken some time, process, but I think it's definitely a mentality. And I think it's definitely something that we've got to be, all aligned in that, hey, we're on the same team. So
that's incredible. Kes, go ahead. Now go ahead.
I love that. I wish that we would implement that because we're not a good team, but somehow it works. I'm kidding. We're a good team, right, Miguel? We get it going.
I just ignore you, girl.
Yeah, that's our technique. You might think it's respect, but it's really just ignoring each other.
Facts.
So I have a question for you. So my dad, I've been around pastors my whole life. My dad was a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor. I was a worship leader. My best friend's dad's a pastor. So I've been, around that my whole life. And something that I've seen a lot is pastors burning themselves out. They'll burn themselves out because they have so much ambition, so much on their heart. They do it for God, and we know that our strength comes from God. So like, that's what, just that humble servant's heart, that's what most pastors have, right? So how do you get a pastor to trust, or a team, because it's not just a pastor, I'm sure it's their staff and whoever else is involved, or that's the goal at least. How do you get a pastor to trust that process? Because I know that could be a little hard, and I know that when it comes to our spiritual walk, having God guide us and all that, all those other details, how do you guys get a pastor to kind of be on board? Do you show him what you've done in the past, or is it just a number of things that you do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think that the receiving church has definitely got to be open.
Of course.
I don't oftentimes approach a church and be like, hey, you look kind of stuck.
Right.
I don't do that.
Right.
Knock, knock. Hey, are you the stuck pastor?
Struggling.
How's your bucket? Your offering bucket's doing? Let's talk about this.
So a lot of churches reach out to us, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a conversation. maybe they didn't even really come up specifically for Excel, but just in a text message I get, I start chatting with them, I lead them towards everything else that we do have to offer. But definitely the pastors need to be open, the leadership needs to be open to try something new. A phrase that I really like is, if it's not working, you really can't defend it. And so for that reason, hey, you got to change something if you want to see something different. And so we try it out. We don't tell you exactly what to do. In other words, we just lay out different plans. We lay out different ways to go about the same thing. And then whatever you feel is best for your church context, for your people, for your staff, then you implement it. And we definitely don't just set you up and walk away. We walk with you, and we help you answer tough questions, and we help you predict problems ahead of time, so that, hey, this is how you should present it. Hey, make sure you have these things. But, we don't want to see pastors burn out, and so we want to help them last forever. We want them to retire one day, but not because they weren't healthy anymore. We want them to fulfill everything that God's called them to do. And so we partner with churches and give them resources so that they can walk, and fulfill everything that God's called them to do.
I got a question and an observation real quick. Observation. If you guys want to subscribe to the Pastor Joey Salazar library, you could call him. He liked to read. You see all those books back there? You could sign up.
He beat me to it.
It's a book a week.
Wait, one more thing we have to point out is we kind of look related a little bit. That's another thing. But moving on.
We're Spanish people. We all look related. Yo, and another thing, Pastor. What make you qualify? Because a lot of people are gonna ask you that. I'm gonna act like a pastor, like I'm not, but yeah. But what make you think that you could help me? What make you feel, or what people would need to know that Pastor Joey Salazar is qualified to help their church, and Excel Church Consulting is ready to help them to get to the next level?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I had the opportunity to grow up in church and the things of God. My parents have been pastors. Have always been pastors since I was born. And I've had a chance to be a part of multiple internships in Texas and in Florida, ministerially internships. I've gone to Bible school. And then I've been a part of multiple churches that I've just served under some incredible, great men and women. And so I've had a chance to be in the context of 30 people in a church, 2,500 people in a church. Currently, Journey Church, we have 1,100 people at our church. The church we planted 3 years ago. And so I've been able to be in the actual churches and try different things, be churches where we had structure, other churches we didn't have structure. So I've seen both sides. I've seen healthy leaders and not healthy leaders. And so being in just hands-on in the actual experience, I think I've been able to learn a lot of things of what to do and what not to do. And then just my personal growth plans. As you can see behind me, the books. I'm always in a book or two. I'm always going to a conference. I'm always looking at resources online. I'm trying to stay updated. I'm trying to see, hey, what new trends are out there. And again, we're always reaching out to other churches. And so at least every month we're reaching out to 2 new churches. Not new, like they just started, but 2 that I haven't really met before. And I'm approaching them from hey, I want to learn from you all. What are you guys doing? How do you do this in your church? Because we just believe we can always get better. And so that experience, I think, along with just my personal growth plan and knowledge over years, I think I'm able to offer a lot of resources to churches.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That helps.
I think that it's, as we're talking about this off air, I believe Miguel was saying that he hasn't really heard of a lot of groups or organizations doing this. And I think it's timely, in this time that we're in right now. Like you said, I feel, we were talking about, the whole Kanye thing and all that stuff going on, and more people obviously know of Jesus, and it's important for our churches to be healthy in order to, to serve the purpose that they're there for. So that's amazing. Now, what do you tell a pastor who doesn't really have that support system that they don't really have, leaders that they can count on in their church? What's something that you would recommend to them in doing? A lot of churches are apprehensive of reaching out for help. So what's something that you normally would recommend?
Yeah. So first of all, as you were talking, the phrase came to mind, we all pray for growth, but I think more importantly, are you preparing for growth? And so, hey, if 100 new first-time guests showed up at your church this Sunday, like, would you realistically be ready? And so you're always needing to be thinking ahead, thinking about the systems. And then as far as like a support team, I learned a long time ago, you really don't find great leaders. I think more importantly, you develop them. And so, hey, I believe
ding, 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 ding. Sorry, go ahead.
If God put some people in front of you or around you, it was for that opportunity for you to develop them. And so we can either wait or we can develop. And so I just accepted a long time ago, hey, I'm going to develop people around me. Somebody one time said success is leaving people better than how you found them. And so I'm not going to wait for you to mentor. I'm not going to wait for you to ask me to mentor you. I'm just going to mentor you just in our conversation, in our relationship. And, so, hey, start with who's around you. And you gotta, be humble enough to ask for help, And so one thing I let pastors and leaders know is, like, just because we're in conversation, it doesn't make you a bad leader. I've been in a situation before where I've just been stuck and I've looked at the same thing for months and I'm already so used to it. I don't see the blind spots. I don't see what other people are seeing. So I need some fresh perspective just from somebody on the outside looking in and be like, hey, like, this is where you're missing it. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And maybe it's a small thing and it changes everything. And that was it. And so something I even mentioned to pastors and leaders is like, hey, like, you determine how long our conversations are. So if it's a one conversation that changes everything for you, great. Like, I feel like I did my job. If it's a couple of weeks, couple of months, hey, then we'll continue to work at it. But yeah, you do have to be open to receiving help. I'm not against you. I'm not trying to prove myself against you. I want to see you win. I don't got to get the credit. It can be your idea. Like, you put your name on it. And that's really my heart behind that. That's
awesome. That's a leader right there. Come on, guys. I wish we had some claps going on here because, that was good. That was good. All right, go ahead.
Look at you. No, you're good. I'm just amazed by Kes clapping thing. She's like on point. She even making a beat. Sound like she was making a beat with it too. But hey, Pastor, question for you. So how this whole process work? I want to know. I want to understand a little bit more about how Excel's church consulting is working. So I reach out to you first, right? And
yes.
Then what will be the next step? How's everything go from there?
Yeah, so we walk churches through a 4-step process. They all begin with the letter E, hopefully so that we can remember it just a little bit better. But we explore. Exploration has to do with just, hey, let's figure out what it is we're working on. And so I'm going to ask you questions. You might provide some data. I might walk through your church, whatever it is we're talking about. Then we're going to equip you. We're going to provide training, resources, and we're going to make sure that you understand it, that you and your leaders understand it, and your team in general. Then we're going to execute it because talking about it's not enough. And so, hey, we're going to put a date to it. Hey, begin to put this into effect, into plan, and make it work. And then finally, we encourage. And so we understand that, hey, sometimes in the process, it takes, it can be emotional, or sometimes we don't see things right away and we can't get discouraged. We believe that ministry wasn't meant to be done alone. And so, hey, it's not just a one and done. And hey, that's just that conversation. Like, hopefully our desire is that we establish a relationship that, hey, I can just encourage you, as long as you continue to do ministry. But we're going to, those are the 4 big pockets. And we're going to have just different conversations about those things. And, topics can range from like small groups to Sunday services to first-time guests, social media, event planning, just whatever you feel that the area that maybe you need help with or just advice in, we'll identify that, and then we'll create a plan, we'll train, we'll execute, put it into practice, and then we'll follow up with some encouragement along the way.
Wow. Okay. It's funny because I noticed that I'm kind of smart too. I noticed that you be using the Excel word to these 4 steps. You know what I'm saying? Like E, X. Yeah. Pretty smart. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to start playing like that with UNT. I got to figure out though first what they use stand for. Unity. Oh, I got one. The first one. Boom. I'm working on it, Kes. Kes, don't pull that face. Únete. Ave Maria. I wasn't thinking about it. You know what?
You're lying.
It took me a minute. It took me a minute to translate it to English. It took me. Alexa was helping me. Alexa is my assistant, and she was helping me.
Señor, Please forgive him, please. But Miguel, we believe in you too, and he's gonna encourage you right now, isn't he? I'm not
Oh
the
no,
only
no. I'll
one.
be honest
I
with
feel
you.
like
Pastor
Joey.
Joyce is encouraged me for the last months. I don't know how many months, but he is. He is. He probably don't know it, but he is. He has.
That's amazing. I think that a lot of good is going to come from this, not only for those that are going to be coming into these churches that you guys have helped along the way, and as you said, you guys learn as well because you get to get more data to help others along the way as well.
Yeah.
And I definitely wish like you guys the best success, and it's really more about the big picture. I'm sure where do you guys see what's the next goal for you guys right now? Like what are you guys working on currently? Is there anything as an organization that you guys are focusing right now, or is it more on these cases, these accounts that you guys are dealing with?
Yeah, no, definitely. So we're working on a couple of things. We want to make a couple of ebooks available here pretty soon. We're also
That's really
recording on a regular podcast as well, and then possibly in the future some just training sessions or conferences where people can come and just receive network as well. And so
that's amazing.
Giving back, as much as we can.
I'm pumped for you guys. I got pumped.
I got a question, Pastor, before we go anywhere. How do you try to balance this whole thing? Because there's some churches out there that still like, I don't want to make fun of them or nothing, but they're like very old school. They're still like old school. You know what I'm saying? And there's some new churches that like they're more focusing on the lights and the sound and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? How do you balance knowing that exactly what that church, or how could you help the church? Because do you go and like, yo, you got to put some lights in here? It's kind of like damn it, like lame. I don't know about this lighting. Or
invest
your worship team. OMG, that drummer, too intense. How do you balance this out? Knowing the church, or how do you do this?
Yeah, so we're gonna take some time to get to know the church, but also my assignment is not to change you.
Ooh, let him know.
Church like mine, like I'm not trying to make you a Journey church. I'm not trying to make you another church that I've been at. I believe that every church is a reflection and extension of the heart of the pastor. And so every pastor is unique. Every pastor has a different vision, has a different calling, and they're responsible to carry that out on behalf of God. And so whatever they feel they need to do or become, then that's what the church is going to look like. And so I'm not going to go in there and try to change your vision. I'm just going to go there to clarify it. I want to make it simple. I want to make it clear. But I'm not going to change your identity. I'm not going to change, your style of worship. Hey, if it's working for you, or if that's who you feel called to reach, then go for it. Again, we need churches like everybody. We need different churches just because there's so many different people.
Right. And with you saying that, I'm sure that you encounter churches that are trying to do, as I was mentioning earlier, a lot at one time. Is it hard sometimes because I know that these pastors are going to you. You're not just finding them going, hey, you need to fix this. So they're going to you for that help. Do you find that sometimes they're a little still reluctant in changing certain things, or how do you handle those moments when it's like a little, it's because it could be personal, like you said, because it is a reflection of the vision, that the pastor has or whatever is on his heart. So how, or her heart. So how is it that you navigate those difficult moments that seem a little personal sometimes?
Yeah. So one thing I would say is we don't try to work on too much too quickly. So don't try to change your whole church name and church values.
right.
Paint the walls at the same
time. We're revamping everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't go from Iglesia Cristiana del Camino de Jesús, del Camino del 316, Juan Amena, Gloria a Dios, to Jesus is King. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that.
Yeah, so we're very strategic in how to implement change. Also, it really depends too on your church history and church life, on how much change we can implement quickly. Some things do just take time as well. But then, there are some things that I think we just got to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves why. Why are we doing things like this at church? Pastor, why do we keep doing this? Especially if it's not working. Why do we do this? What if we tried it out for 1 month and let's see if anything changes? And if it doesn't change, we'll go exactly back to how we used to do it. And so sometimes it's just we're there. It's kind of like when we have clothes or shirts in our closets that don't fit us anymore, but we just have an emotional tie to them. It's a memory. It's just like.
Could I confess? This past weekend, after service, I just broke up with a whole bunch of shirts, and I just donated them. I donated them yesterday. Actually, I took them to.
That's why you look rough right now, because you're just hurt.
My closet is empty. I realized, like, oh my God, what's going on? After so long,
have nothing.
Yeah. I put the shirt on. I'm like, I know you're gonna fit. I know you are. I know, but it wasn't.
He's encouraging the shirt. He's motivating the shirt.
So,
you can do it.
Yeah. I'm like, I know you want to do this. Let's go and get them together. All these buttons. But it's true though. I get that closet thing. The shirt. I just went through it Sunday, and it hurts.
Yeah. No, but it's just sometimes we're more tied to it emotionally, or because I came up with the idea.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
We've always done it like
You're
that.
preaching to Miguel.
You're such a hater, bro.
Hey, there's a book out there. It's called something along the lines of the autopsy of a dead church, or autopsy, or something like that. And it says like the last words of a dying church is, we've always done it like that. And so when we stay in that mentality of, hey, we've just always done it like that, well, then that's not extremely healthy. You really need to know the why behind it. Is it still working? It might have worked 20 years ago, but is it working today? If it is, great. If not, then hey, let's look at it and see what we can change up.
And that's what I love about what I'm hearing, excuse me, is that it's not one size fits all, because two different churches might have the same issue, but it's for different reasons. Yeah. The solution is going to be tailored to them. So those of you that are listening to us right now, be rest assured that it's going to be tailored to you, because that's a beautiful thing. And I'm sure it's hard to balance or instill confidence in that, but it sounds like you guys are really thinking about the full picture, and the details. So I get pumped when I hear good ideas, and this is like, you guys are in the pocket.
There you go.
I gotta say that. I didn't have a question.
Talking about pockets and all that stuff, Pastor, how could we find about Excel Church Consulting? Where we could go to find more information?
Yeah, so on the website, our website is helpmychurchexcel.com. Helpmychurchexcel.com.
Question mark? Is there a question mark in it? Okay.
That's an exclamation point.
Yeah.
And we're obviously on Instagram and Facebook, Excel Church Consulting as well.
There you go. That's no excuse then. No excuse. Hey, and he's here to help. He said it himself. He just want to help. He don't want to change your church. He don't want to change and all that. He just want to help you guys.
They're the trampoline, all right? They're they're gonna launch you guys, help you launch your vision.
Hallelujah.
To get there, all right?
There you go.
Logo, trampoline now.
Yeah, there you go. The trampoline. The X in the trampoline jumping out.
I'm seeing commercials already. I'm seeing people jumping on trampolines. Like, it's
La visionera. She got the vision.
During the interview,
marketing.
Yeah, I could be on a trampoline during the interview.
You should be doing a trampoline, or at least one of the chairs that you could be like jumping. Like, yes, and we're gonna excel you guys to a better situation.
Yo, this could be a whole package for like pastors to stay in shape. You know what I'm saying? Look, there's vision here. Look.
Hallelujah.
Awesome.
But hey, guys, that's all we got for you guys. Don't forget, look at the website, social media. He's there, Instagram, Facebook, website. No excuses. Pastor, thank you. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
you guys.
Hey, we're coming right back. Don't go nowhere. We're going to leave you with Bible in the hand. Bible in the hand. Bible in my hand. Bible in my hand. Let's go.
Bye.